So I'd prefer to squash this or apologize to all of them because I know this was embarrassing for all of them.
At the point of no return, I'm at that point.
You guys believe the internet? You guys are adults that believe what you read and hear in the newspaper. You guys are talking about things with no research. That's not fair. Actually, I'm gonna keep it on.
Dame's out here talking about unity, but Harlem's hearing it as a straight-up apology. Cameron's side-eye says it all. Point of no return. And the internet? Man, they're calling Cap left and right. Tonight, we're not just taking his words at face value. We're stress testing that so-called olive branch like it's under a microscope. We're putting Dame's peace plea right next to the laughter, because if this is real growth, we'll see it in the receipts. Every contract, every boundary, every move needs to add up before anyone buys this Reform Leader Act. Because let's be real, if the apology comes from the heart, it sounds like leadership. But if it's just dressed up in wise words with no backbone, it's not growth. It's surrender in designer clothing. And Harlem doesn't bow to that. Not now, not ever. Dame's not barking from a stage this time. He's talking like a seasoned boss in a boardroom, calm but calculated. He's saying the quiet part out loud, and Harlem's cringing, because that kind of honesty cuts deep. He just turned the whole beef into a branding issue, not a street one. Smart business, but messy execution. It's great intellectual property, sure, but man, the optics are rough.
I want to apologize to all of them because I know this was embarrassing for all of them. And I can't be violent and I won't be violent. My job is to keep them out of jail. So the only way I can deal with things is keep certain things out of the algorithm. Just to answer as soon as somebody says something. If y'all want to sit down and work it out and maybe do a TV show together, just showing the world that we can work together.
His message is clear. Stop feeding the algorithm. Sit down off camera, handle business in private, and only pop back up on camera with something real. A product that proves black unity can make more noise than another petty viral clip. Sounds good, right? But that's where the gamble hits. Because in this game, an apology can get chopped into a meme way faster than a deal gets signed. And when the second clip drops, it hits even harder. It shows exactly why folks struggle to believe him. Everyone's been burned before by peace talks that turned into promo runs. Dame's tone says maturity, but the culture's watching close, wondering if this is growth or just a rebrand in progress. If the fans buy into the rumors, Dame's olive branch looks like he's backing down. But if they believe the receipts, it starts to sound like leadership instead. Dame's on a mission to shift the proof, not from the comment section, but into cold, hard deliverables. He's laying out the blueprint, what a real paid in full spinoff would take. Rights, clearances, music, brand control, life stories, all locked down tight. And the biggest question of all, who's really holding the keys? If he wants Harlem's trust back, it's gonna take signatures, not sound bites. Forget slogans. The streets want to see contracts, not captions. They're waiting for a neutral executive producer, a full clearance roadmap, and an actual rollout timeline. Because every word of patience Dame asks for is getting drowned out by somebody else's punchline online. And let's keep it real, the culture has a code. You don't drag family into business, you don't make Harlem look weak, and you definitely don't flip personal pain into public profit. That's the line you don't cross, no matter how flashy the camera lights get. Dame's still poking at those old wounds though. While Cam keeps saying point of no return and 50's out here selling confidence like a movie trailer, unity starts to look like weakness, unless that paperwork screams power. This chapter ends on one question that'll decide it all. Can Dame flip embarrassing Harlem into elevating Harlem? Not just in talk, but in writing? Two heavy bricks are blocking Dame's olive branch right now, and they're not moving easy. The first one, Cam's boundary. He's not here to argue over contracts or percentages. He's saying straight up, the trust is gone. When Cam calls it the point of no return, that's not just shade. That's policy now. He's being polite, sure, but that handshake, strictly surface level. No partnership, no paperwork, just distance and delivery.
At the point of no return, this was totally unnecessary. The way it went about for me, you keep going on the internet, looking for internet sympathy.
The second brick is even messier. The trolling economy. Dame's own clip where he boldly said, "We can beat 50 and Cam," blew up like jet fuel on social media. That one line flipped his apology into a pivot, made it look like strategy, not sincerity. Every time he tries to speak peace, the internet spins it into a punchline.
It don't matter if you win or lose. Swing on them. That's my hitter. I feel I could beat them with a little lesbian, white girl. I just want to see if we can do it for fun. Let's go battle Cam and 50 because 50 stepped into the comms.
And that's the battle. How do you fight laughter with time and paper? Because if 50's flex is just for momentum, the laughs might be cheap. But once the paperwork starts flying and clearances, rights grids, and real deals hit the table, everything changes. If Dame's flex is backed by actual options, assignments, or a shopping deal in motion, then the joke flips fast. That laugh that once mocked him suddenly becomes leverage. And in Harlem, leverage is everything. Meanwhile, Cam's boundary isn't something a contract can fix. It's a code repair situation. This goes deeper than signatures or checks. It's about restoring respect. No more family name drops, no more spinning old rumors for clicks, and definitely no more handing the internet free ammo. From this point on, it's all about stacking receipts, not running mouths. The next chapter is where things really heat up. What does owning paid in full actually mean versus what people think it means? And can Dame's bold "I own it" claim really hold up under the microscope? This is where the apology meets the paperwork. And trust me, the audience is listening for truth, not talk.
Did you own Paid in Full? Like, how did 50 Cent acquire ownership of Paid in Full?
Do you remember when 50 Cent was supposed to be putting out a documentary about Puff on Netflix?
Yes.
Where's
That single word "owns" sounds powerful, but in film and TV, it's a maze. There's underlying story rights, remake rights, sequel rights, title and trademark control, life rights from real people, distribution licenses, music masters, publishing splits, even image usage from the original film. One lane lets you talk about it. Several lanes let you build on it, but all the lanes together, that's what lets you deliver. And that's exactly why the Prove It Challenge matters so much right now. This isn't just about flexing ownership, it's about showing receipts that can't be memed away. Because if Dame can back it up in black and white, Harlem might just start listening again.
from Paid in Full? The thing there is I was there. I don't have to buy rights for my own story. I already told those guys' story. Now I'm telling my story, my Paid in Full. I don't have to buy the rights.
So now it's time to line the claims up side by side and let the footage speak for itself. On one end, you've got 50 moving like a man with a plan. Smooth rollout, bold captions, Harlem's silent nod of approval, and that unstoppable green light energy that screams confidence. On the other, you've got Dame stepping up to the mic and facing the real question head on. Did he ever truly own what everybody's now trying to expand? And here's the twist. How could anyone have claimed ownership in 2025 without him being involved? That's where the truth hides. Deep in the fine print, we're talking options, assignments, shopping agreements, and the thin but crucial line between based on and authorized by. Those few words decide who's boss and who's bluffing. Anyone who's ever tried to clear a docuseries knows the pain. The internet will crown you king long before a single lawyer clears one frame of footage. So while fans argue in the comments, the real fight's happening in the contracts. Because in Hollywood, hype might make you trend, but paperwork decides who actually owns the throne. Here's the real giveaway and the tell. When somebody truly owns the rights, the story's crystal clear and the execs can't stop bragging about it. But when things get messy, everyone suddenly starts talking like a visionary while the lawyers are burning midnight oil in the background trying to patch things up quietly. That's the vibe Dame's olive branch is giving right now. Not weakness, but strategy. He's moving like a chess player, trying to get Harlem to sit down, cameras on or off, and walk through a grown man conversation about how the business really works. Questions gotta be answered. Who actually wrote the original screenplay? Who's sitting on the remake and sequel rights right now? Can that iconic paid in full title even be reused? Did anyone secure life rights from the real people behind the story? And how's the music, logos, and branding getting cleared if this thing moves forward? If those answers line up clean, 50 walks away with both perception and paper. But if they come out muddy, Cap stops being shade, it starts sounding like a medical condition, because at that point, somebody's out here selling confidence with no proof to back it. And here's the twist most people miss. There's a third lane, coexistence. It's totally possible to build a brand new series inspired by the same true events without ever touching the protected material from the movie. No stolen rights, no lawsuits, no confusion. Just two creative visions eating from the same legacy without crossing wires. That's a whole different product and a whole different promise. It can definitely work. but only if the audience truly believes the creative team has real access to the people and the details that made the original feel raw and authentic. And that loops us right back to Dame's olive branch. If he's genuinely serious about unity, the fastest way to turn laughter into leverage is to shift the conversation from captions to contracts. Stop talking. Start showing Harlem receipts. That means real dates, signatures, and deliverables that can stand on their own without embarrassment. Because when those papers hit the table, no amount of trolling can change the facts. But here's where things get tricky, and why slowing the timeline down might actually save everyone. A loose "we own it" claim might sound good for the camera, but it can backfire hard later. It can sour relationships with estates, unions, and rights holders you'll eventually need to work with. And one sloppy "they're capping" moment, that can flip into a full-blown defamation nightmare if somebody guessed wrong in public. The smart version of this fight isn't flashy. It's quiet, clean, and powerful. It's a chain of title that's airtight, a calendar of deliverables that hits deadlines, and 3 grown men who finally realize Harlem wins biggest when nobody has to lose. That's the real flex. Not who talks loudest, but who walks away with both peace and profit. Now we're stepping into the one bag that twists every conversation: the money optics. Once the cash talk starts, the truth gets blurry fast. The Breakfast Club turned it into a meme factory. Numbers sliced out of context, paperwork reduced to personality, and the whole generation now trained to treat bankruptcy like a confession instead of a business move. Every clip, every headline, stripped the nuance and turned strategy into shame, but Dame's trying to flip the lens back to responsibility. He's saying fatherhood costs money, court battles cost money, and sometimes restructuring isn't failure, it's survival. It's how a business lives to fight another day.
I've been paying $250,000 a year in child support. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm broke? Yeah, I'm broke because I give it all to my family. Don't you understand?
But none of that matters online if humiliation is the only metric people respect. If you ain't trending for chaos, you might as well be invisible. And that's the gap the trolls feast on. The digital trap where logic dies and mockery wins. 50 mastered that game to perfection. He built a whole second career off of timing and humiliation, dropping 7-word captions that travel farther than a 40-page contract ever could. That's the new economy: entertainment over evidence and clicks over clarity. Meanwhile, Dame's standing there trying to teach ownership in a world that celebrates downfall. And until the audience values proof over punchlines, every dollar earned or lost will keep getting remixed into a meme. You don't have to win discovery to win delivery. You just gotta make the other guy look unserious. That's the game now. Every stray flex becomes rocket fuel for the opposition. So when Dame cracks that wild joke about beating 50 and Cam with a white lesbian rapper, yeah, it's clearly theater. But the internet doesn't care about context. Screenshots turn performance into evidence. Suddenly, what was meant as humor starts muddying his apology, making his pivot look like damage control instead of growth. Now you've got the perfect split screen. On the left, Dame preaching peace. On the right, a cocky soundbite playing on loop. It's meme gold, but brand poison. That's why the way out can't be more talk. It's gotta be policy. Real steps, not social captions. Step 1, separate family from content. No sons in the headlines, no partners pulled into PR wars, no private pain flipped into public marketing. Keep that sacred.
Now, I say what I say, and then my son calls me and says, Cam gave him some money to do an interview on his show. And that really bothered me because Cam knows, he known Boogie since he was born. He knows our relationship, the reasons for certain things. That would have really damaged our relationship. It would have fucked up.
Step 2, overshare the business, but in plain language that people can actually understand. Break it down. What revenue lanes are open, which partners are attached, what the next dated milestone looks like, and exactly who signs off. Let Harlem see the map instead of the mystery. Step 3, ship something real that moves the scoreboard for Harlem, not for egos. Drop a funded pilot with neutral executive producers, clear a soundtrack moment that only authentic relationships could deliver, and cut a community check that says, we put money back where we took attention. And here's the uncomfortable truth nobody likes to admit. Audiences do reward vulnerability, but only when it's real, not weaponized. If Dame can turn humility into movement and apology into execution, Harlem won't just forgive him, they'll start betting on him again. If you really want to kill a rumor, stop talking and start documenting. Put the facts in a format that can't be chopped or twisted. An audited statement, a judge's order, or a dated deal memo. That's the kind of paper no troll can remix. Then go silent because trolls starve when there's nothing new to feed on. Trade the drip of defensive posts for the rhythm of real milestones. Show the world progress they can't deny. Table reads, location locks, casting announcements that make Harlem proud. That's how you flip the algorithm. Not with clapbacks, but with deliverables. And yeah, the other side's still gonna laugh. Let them. Laughter's cheap. Delivery, that costs time, money, and focus. The longer Dame keeps his paperwork clean and the projects actually move, the more those old clips start to look like fossils. Relics from an era when noise mattered more than results. Because at the end of the day, nobody argues with the premiere date. Harlem doesn't care who talks slick the loudest. They care about who showed up with something finished. That's the scoreboard that matters. If the apology was real, time will prove it. It'll either mature into a partnership or at least settle into peace. And when that happens, the laughs fade, the receipts stay, and Harlem gets exactly what it deserves. Progress on paper and respect in motion.
The way it went about, for me, it didn't have to be public. It didn't have to be all this. All I said, I hate repeating how this started. I didn't pick the phone up. All I did was not pick the phone up, and you keep going on the internet looking for internet sympathy. Like he's doing now,
That's the code book. In Harlem, the minute you start going back and forth in public, you've already taken an L. Cam stamped that moment. Made it clear this is way beyond any debate about who owns what. When he called it the point of no return, it wasn't a legal phrase, it was cultural. It meant the line wasn't crossed on paper, it was crossed in principle. Private friendship turned into public content and a quiet boundary got flipped into a public dare. Once that happens, an apology can't just sound soft, it's gotta repair the code. That's why Dame's olive branch wasn't just to Cam, it was a direct appeal to Harlem. Yeah, it was embarrassing, but it was also strategic because Harlem's rules are bigger than both of them. The laws of the block haven't changed. No dragging family, no cheap circus acts, and definitely no staining the borough's name for a few viral views. If you break those codes, there's only one way back. Over-respect the code in public. That means shutting down the captions and putting up structure instead. Handle the sit-down off camera, then come back on camera with clarity. A straight-up statement of terms and a deliverable that lifts Harlem higher than the argument ever could.
That's not the ideals that I want him to be. That's not the message. And that bothered me. It was embarrassing in that way. Like, damn, my OGness, my teaching is wrong. What's wrong with this nigga? But I'm like, I don't know why he's doing it. And then I was gonna respond, but I was like, that's what everybody wants to see. Like 50 and Steve Stout, they're hypocrisy.
That's how you rebuild the bridge. Not with words, but with discipline. Because in Harlem, real respect doesn't need noise. It needs order. They've got their popcorn ready, watching like it's a live show. Dame's framing the same wound, but from the elder side now. He's saying the new generation, the kids, are watching the OGs crumble online, turning manhood into memes. Everyone's waiting for him to slip to fall right into the meme economy. And that's exactly why his apology hits different this time. It's not about losing an argument, it's about refusing to keep feeding one. If the mission is to stop embarrassing Harlem, then stop giving the algorithm cheap Harlem to eat. The politics here are simple and cold-blooded. The first man to end the circus wins the respect. If he backs it up with clean paperwork and solid principles, he looks like a leader. But if the silence isn't supported by substance, it starts looking like surrender. And online, the loudest caption always wins the election.
It's this thing, you guys believe the internet? You guys are adults that believe what you read and hear in the newspaper, and y'all talk the most not. So you guys are talking about things with no research. That's not fair. See, the problem is, and this is, actually, I want to keep it on you.
So my question, could you cut me off? Question?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So my question is...
You cut him off too, Damon.
I said,
Welcome to Internet Court, where confidence is king and evidence is optional. If you sound like a green light, people treat you like one until the lawyers step in. That's how 50 stays winning so many rounds without showing a single contract. He sells inevitability. That's also how an apology gets twisted into comedy. If the crowd believes the rumor, the grown man move suddenly looks like a white flag. The only way out? Move slower than a caption, but faster than a rumor. Because in today's digital Harlem, timing is everything, and dignity's the rarest flex of all. Put the facts in formats that can't be clipped or twisted, deal memos, clean chains of title, dated milestones, then go quiet until the next one drops. Memes can't survive when the only thing left to chew on is progress. But toss the internet a single boast and they'll feast for a whole week like piranhas. Even Dame knows how this machine runs. He literally calls out the joke system while still joking inside of it. That's the trap of internet court. The moment you try to steer the narrative, you end up feeding it instead. You can't out-meme the machine. The fix isn't a sharper clapback, it's starving the beast with boring excellence. Dates, deals, deliverables. That's the new trilogy of truth. So here's the blueprint as this saga nears the finish line. Policy over posture. No more family names in the mix, no rumor recycling, and definitely no fresh meme ammo for the trolls. Proof over vibes. If 50's claim is real, make it public and paper it properly. And if Dame's K call is valid, then walk Harlem through the grind. What's been cleared, what hasn't, and why. And last but not least, products over posts. Announce something the internet can't argue with. A table read on the calendar, a clearance log that's locked, a pilot date in motion. That's how you silence the noise, not by matching energy, but by outlasting it. What Harlem really needs right now is a neutral EP cosign. Someone the borough actually respects. Because when the internet's acting as judge and jury, the only real appeal is delivery. Every new milestone makes the old drama sound like a rerun, but that's the one roadblock no contract can bulldoze: personal policy. Cam's boundary was never about legal lanes. It was about how a friend handled a friend in public. That's the wound, and the only bandage strong enough to heal it is private repair before any rollout happens. No captions, no cameras, just a room, an apology, and a decision. That's what real men do, because when peace comes from the heart, it reads as strength. But when it comes from memes, it reads as damage control. So if Dame wants this piece to hold, it takes 3 solid moves in this order. 1, principles. A public promise to keep family out of content. No exceptions, no bait for clicks, period. 2, paper. Full clarity on paid and full's legal lanes. Every right, every clearance, every holder, on record, no gray areas. 3, product. A dated milestone the city can actually circle. Something Harlem can celebrate, not just debate. That's the grown man pivot. Move the fight off Instagram and on the signature lines. Because if the paperwork comes back clean, everybody wins. 50 keeps his momentum, Cam keeps his code, and Dame proves his olive branch wasn't a white flag. It was a workflow. If that's where Dame lands, business over banter, then the only question left is whether the other two want to win bigger than a laugh. Because in the end, fate doesn't care about captions. It cares about premiere dates. Dame already put the olive branch on camera. Now Harlem's watching to see if he'll back it up with delivery. The next move decides whether this ends as peace or just another performance. And that's where it all lands. The moment Harlem stops watching and starts judging. Dame put the olive branch on full display, but now it's time to prove it wasn't just a prop. The cameras caught the talk. Now the city wants to see the results. Because when the smoke clears, only one thing matters: who built something that lasts and who just performed for views. This whole saga, from pride to paperwork, became a test of manhood in real time. 3 legends, 1 borough, and a crowd that doesn't forgive fake. If Dame seals this deal right, he doesn't just rebuild his name, he reclaims Harlem's respect, 1 signature at a time. But if he slips back into captions and chaos, then the memes win again, and history repeats itself in HD. So what happens next? Does unity finally beat ego, or will another headline bury the lesson before it sticks? One thing's for sure, Harlem's watching every move, and the next paper drop will decide everything. For the full story, every twist, every truth, every clapback that didn't make the camera, you already know where to go. Tap in with BarzBuzz, where the culture gets decoded, not diluted. Because this isn't just gossip, it's game. And Harlem never forgets who played it right. If this saga had you shook, wait till you see what's next. You already know what it is. BarzBuzz got the real, raw, and unfiltered breakdowns. So don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this with someone who needs to catch up.